Welcome to Juan's World and the Chameleon Cook, my second part of my three-part, maybe four-part series on onions. Don't know yet. Anyway, here's a little throwback to cockaliki soup. I still had some chicken left over from the cockaliki soup. I'd frozen it. So I thawed it and added some leeks. And then I added a little bit of broth and some Indian spices that I had got hold of when I was in search of allspice, and they didn't have any loose, but they had some in a package, and I bought the package, and I thought, oh well, I'll just put the whole package into the chicken and leek. And here we have chicken and leek with Indian spices. Quite delicious, and a very different idea from what I started with cockaliki. You remember with cockaliki I was saying I want to just have chicken and leek pure without a lot of other spices, maybe some pepper, maybe some parsley, but that's about it. But the thing is that you can add all kinds of things, and here we've got kaffir lime leaves and cinnamon and hot chilies and 5 spice and anise and cardamom, green cardamom. It was delicious. I turned it out onto white rice, and it was a great lunch. But now I want to turn to onions again, and last time you will remember I did French onion soup, and now I want to be the chameleon cook. I want to take different members of the onion family and see if I can make them into versions of French onion soup, except that they will be French leek soup or French green onion soup. And we'll see how that works out. So let's get cooking. So here's the question. When I make French onion soup, I start by slicing onions and caramelizing them and then putting them into beef broth. What if I replace the onions with leeks? What kind of soup will result? Will it be French leek soup? Well, here we go, trying it out. These are sliced leeks, and I'm going to caramelize them. So here we are, almost caramelized and about ready to put in the broth. I didn't give you all the intermediate stages this time, but it did take just about as long as it does for an onion. Maybe a little bit quicker, but that was partly because I've got less leek in here than I had onion. Well, we're just about ready to turn it into the broth. Alright, so here we go. I've added some beef broth to the leeks, and now I'm going to let it simmer for about an hour in the same way as I did with the French onion soup. Here's the finished product. I have refrigerated it overnight, and now here we are ready to reheat it, and the verdict is not bad. It's actually very, very close to French onion soup, but not quite as sharp, maybe a little bit sweeter. And I could do several things with this in the same way that I did with the French onion soup. I could put in a roundel of French bread with some cheese and melt it over it and serve it just like French onion soup. Or I could turn it into gravy and have it with sausages or with some grilled meat or something of the sort, or over mashed potatoes. I think it's a moderate success. And now the question is, what about doing the same thing with green onions. What's that going to do? So by now you've pretty much got the drill. I don't need to give you an extended commentary on caramelizing the onions. Here we have green onions that I have chopped a little bit, and I put them in some oil, and I'm just now starting to caramelize them on low to medium heat, and you can see they're beginning to take on a little bit of color and a little bit more color, and we're just going to continue this process until they are good and caramelized. Here we are, maybe about 20 minutes into the process. You can consider that to be about normal for onions. And now add the broth and let the caramelized onions simmer for an hour. And what do we have? Well, what we have is a soup that is pretty much the same as regular French onion soup. Maybe slightly sweeter than the leeks, slightly softer tone to the soup, but pretty much in the same ballpark. So now I'm going to do something very, very different. I'm going to use small spring onions, just the green tops, and I'm not going to caramelize them, and I'm not going to put them in broth. I'm going to just put them in plain water and make a broth of onions. Let's see how that works. So I've got the green parts of green onions chopped up and now covered with plain spring water, and all I'm going to do is bring the mixture to a simmer and just see what happens. And it is amazing what happens. All I've got here are green onions and water, and by simmering for maybe about 35-40 minutes, I've produced a really subtle but delightful oniony broth, which I could use as a consommé, or I could use to make some kind of very fragrant gravy. Just wonderful, and quite a surprise. I've actually made quite a bit of it and frozen some of it. And next time I'm going to look at the two final members of the onion family that I have, and I'm going to make soups out of both of them. They are chives and garlic. Now, garlic soup is well known in Eastern Europe and some parts of Western Europe, but I've never actually made it. So this is going to be yet another experiment in my next video. So if you like these cooking videos, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.